minor thing and that, but isn't it great that God doesn't mind? So this is what I'm trying to say is despite our sins, despite how well that our sin we get it right, God still loves it. He still cares for us. Let me read some scriptures and share some things with you. So the first one is from John 21, and it's 1 to 11. It says, afterward, Jesus appeared again to his disciples by the Sea of Galilee. It happened this way. Simon Peter, Thomas, also known as Didymus, Nathanael from Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and two other disciples who were together. So let's just have that here. I'm going out to fish, Simon Peter told them, and they said, we'll go with you. So they went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Early in the morning, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples did not realize that it was Jesus. Some people say that there are people watching out, so from the shoreline you might be able to see where the shoals are fishing and direct the fishing boat. But Jesus called out to them, friends, haven't you any fish? No, they answered. He said, throw your net on the right side of the boat and you will find some. Now, I think there are words missing there. I think they might have had a bit of a debate. And I think I've said this before. They might have had a bit of a debate. Oh, you're going to bother? We've been out on time. I don't want to go home. Yeah, but we've got nothing to eat, nothing to sell. You know, we need to get some money in to feed our families, etc. But I've had enough. Or words to that effect. And some of them would say, let's give it a try. We've got nothing to lose, guys. You know, who knows? There might be something there. So we'll give it a go. Anyway, so he said to them, throw your net on the right side of the boat and you will find some. When they did, they were unable to haul the net in because of the large number of fish. Then the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, it's I think the words are wrong there. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. We're reading. Then the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, I've got it. It is the Lord. Yes. As soon as Simon Peter heard him say, it is the Lord, he wrapped his outer garment round him for taking it off and jumped into the water. The other disciples followed in a boat. Maybe they were sensible, just jumping into the water. Anyway, towing the net full of fish, for they were not far from shore, about 100 yards. When they landed, they saw a fire of burning coals with fish on it and some bread. Jesus said to them, bring some of the fish you just caught. So Simon Peter climbed back into the boat, dragged the net ashore. It was full of large fish, 153. But even with so many, the net was not full. So, just about attitudes. So the disciples are out fishing, as I've already said, and I guess if you're fishing all night, if you're doing something all day, you get tired. and if you don't feel you're getting anywhere, and sometimes you do things and you think, well, I've been at this all this time and I've got nowhere. But sometimes we need to just change our attitude and look at how can we improve this. How could I improve what I was doing over there and getting wound up? And I've learned a lesson this morning. Quite. And it's right that we do. But when we're in the right place, and it was right to be here this morning, but we don't do the right thing, God still blesses us, doesn't he? Still encourages us. He still loves us. I want to look at those verses about Peter's denial and when Peter disowned Jesus. And this is from Luke 22. And from verse 54 it says, then seizing him, they led him away and took him into the house of the high priest. Peter followed after to see. And when some there kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard, and they had sat down together, Peter sat down with them. A servant girl saw him seated there in the firelight. She looked closely at him. and said, "This man is with him." But he denied it. And I wonder how he said this. So the woman, I don't know him. You have to do with me. A little later, someone else saw him and said, "You also are one of them." "Man, I am not," he said. I don't think he would have said, no idea. No. I think he'd been quite worried, concerned for his own sake, because he was seeing Jesus being taken away and perhaps had an inkling of what might be coming. And so I think he did quite firmly said, "No, I don't know him. You have to do with me, pal." And then about an hour later, another asserted, "Certainly this fellow was with him. He is a Galilean." And Peter replied, and it actually says in one or two versions that Peter cursed him and swore. I'm not going to do that. But he said, "Man, I don't know that guy over there. Nothing to do with me." I think it'd have been like that, it'd been very, very, and said it out loud. I'm sorry about that. I don't think he'd have just said it neatly and mildly. I think it'd have been really strong, powerful thing. I don't understand. Nothing to do with it. And because it was, in himself, he was really worried, terrified. And that's the attitude that, that I have sometimes. When I get the opportunity to say, "Yeah, I know Jesus." I think my attitude, I don't necessarily shout it, but my attitude is, well, if I don't say anything, I'm saying, "I don't know." When I get the opportunity. When I had the opportunity this morning to not be so stupid and not just get wound up and stressed and out of my tiny little mind about it. And there was an opportunity there that God gave me, and I think I've learned a lesson this morning. That come on, Mike, for goodness sake, I do get stressed. I'm an emotional person. If anyone knows me reasonably well, I am an emotional person. I do get wound up. I do get emotionally stressed. And that's to some extent, that's who I am. That's what I am. That's my part. But I also have an opportunity to grow myself and say, "Look, God, that is me," and I recognise that. And I recognise it. It's not necessarily a big part of me. But God help me. Why didn't I? Why didn't I think this morning? God help us to just get through it. Because God helped us anyway, I believe. But I had an opportunity to actually to say something about it. Anyway, it goes on that. So what am I talking about this morning? Attitude. Your approach to things. The way we respond to things, the way that we manage things, the way that we handle stuff. And it's amazing, isn't it? So let's just go on. But Jesus still loved the. Is that gone loud? No, right. It's okay. But even though Peter denied Jesus still loved him, didn't he? Still cared so much for him. Still wanted him to be one of his heroes, as it were. Still wanted to bless him, to encourage him. And to bless and encourage the rest of his disciples. These guys had gone out to fish and had an unsuccessful night. Jesus came along and he was the answer. They still had to do some of the work and they still had to do what Jesus had suggested to them. But their attitude had to be the right one. Or they had to come through their difficulty and battle that through and discuss it with each other, as it were, and come to the right conclusion. And Paul talked about, so there are circumstances, last week we talked about circumstances and things that we come across. And there are some things that we can't change, they are what they are. When I was working a while ago, we were taught that when you come across something that you can't change, no matter what your opinion is, it is what it is. If it's in a contract that you're dealing with a client, if you're on a road and get stuck in a traffic jam, you can sit and curse and get rounds around it as you want to. You don't going to change it. And we were told that, it came back to me that and I shared it before, we were told to call it gratitude. Because you can't change it. You can get as wound up as you want. You can get as annoyed as you, but that's how it is. Jesus twice guided the disciples through a miraculously large haul of fish. Once he called them, and once after his resurrection. But when God wants us in the right place, what's our attitude? Are we willing to be used, willing to be in the right place? What's our attitude? What happened? That's what already said. He loves us and he cares for us. He thrills at being involved in our life. He wants the best for us. When I read about the second time after his resurrection, and he got them to cast the net the other side, and afterwards they had a meal with him. And it goes on and says, Jesus said to them, "Come and have breakfast." None of the disciples dared ask him, "Who are you?" They knew it was the Lord. And Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them, and did the same with the fish. And it goes on and says, when they finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than this?" "Yes, Lord," he said, "you know I love you." Despite the fact he said, "I don't know him." Right? Despite the fact that he said that, he still had a love for him. Jesus still loved him, and Jesus still had a job and a purpose and a role and a love for him. "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," he said, "you know that I love you." Jesus answered, "Feed my lambs." Again, Jesus said, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He answered, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you." How was he feeling then? Being challenged. He knew what he'd done. Because we do stuff and we know what we've done, don't we? But when God comes and he says, "Still love you." How was he feeling? Was he part beating tentative or something? There it comes. I'm going to get a quick telling off here. Or here it comes. I really don't know how. I'll just sit and look at him, look him in the eyes. Because but Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." I love you, and I've got a word for you. And the third time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the third time. I think there was a reason as he's doing that, but there's a reason why he did it, ask him 3 times. And he said, "Lord, you know all things, you know I love you." Did he have any other words in there? Did he say, "Oh, sorry, but you example"? I think I can answer. Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." This shows that this it's gone off, is it? I've seen more. Yeah. So that was a little bit picture, despite what he'd done in the past. And he'd seen these do all sorts of amazing things. He'd seen him do miracles. He'd been involved. He'd heard what he had to say. But he'd been there that low moment. And but Jesus said, "I love you. Feed my sheep." Um, and then, so, when we seek our Father, His intervention, His involvement, His better ways in what's going on. It's fantastic what can be achieved, isn't it? I'm going to share a couple of things with you. So Martha and I have got two grown-up sons, and we brought them up and as best we could. We don't particularly go to any classes at school and that sort of thing. But you do your best, don't you? And we brought them up. Sometimes they still come back to us, and they'll ask our opinion. They'll say, I'm applying for a job, will you go to see you and just see what you think, or this particular thing is going to I'm not quite sure what you think. They don't necessarily always take what you think to heart and act on it. They're grown up, they're adults, they have to make their own decisions. But sometimes they go around and ask, and they come to us and ask, and it's such a blessing for us, isn't it? And we love it when they come and they ask our opinion on things. Sometimes our opinion may conflict with the way that what they're thinking. And how much smaller does our Father just love us to just ask Him? There's some things, there's lots of things that in our Bible, if you want to know about some things, have a look in the Bible and see what does it say about subject X, about subject Y. But, there's nothing wrong with just saying, Father, what do you reckon? What do you think? What's your opinion? And He does answer. That's a fact. It's another one. So when I walk our dog, we've all had one dog, so it's like your dog, so maybe we've done it. She loves to go and sniff things. We'll be walking down the path and there's some rest beside him, and we'll get 5-6 yards or feet further down, and she'll suddenly turn around and want to go back and sniff that particular piece of grass, which is a particular scent. And sometimes I have to pull her back. And sometimes, by the time she's sniffing the 10th lot of grass, so we've only gone 5 yards for 5 minutes, and so I can get a little bit. Look, we're going for a walk. This isn't a sniffle thing. This is supposed to be a walk. And although, that can wind me up a little bit, I still love the dog. And I think and it's a very poor example. But when we go off and we want to go off and do something, and God doesn't yank us back, but He says, "Look, all right, come on, let's carry on and have a walk together. Don't get distracted by that over there, because there's something up ahead I want you to see, want you to be involved." Last Sunday, something happened, and it was me personally, but just showed that wherever I was at, I just needed to have that, to try and have that right attitude and say, God, let's just, have your way. So, and I don't know if you remember, and I will remind you, but this is for me. That I read Psalm 34 right at the beginning, and I was looking around, and I saw Paul facing something called Goodness. And then he got up, and he spoke on a verse from Psalm 34, which was amazing. And I've sort of clung on to that during the week, because that was a real amazing experience. That my attitude had been right then, or I'd been open to God having His way, and just for Him to just use me. And I felt sort of wrapped up in God's warmth when I think about that. That was quite an amazing experience. It sounded very often, but it was an amazing experience of God, and just knowing that at that moment in time, although my path stays the way that I was on the right path. I was on God's path. let me share something else with you. I shouldn't name names maybe. So I was speaking somewhere else, and I had something that I wanted to speak about, and it changed halfway through that, and I had said something else. And there was a person sat listening, and they only found out about 6 months later that influenced a particular decision they had to make, and they were seeking for an answer. So what I'm saying there is that we need to be so open to God, don't we? And when something comes into our minds, why is it coming into my mind? What is it right to say it? If a person comes into our mind, is it right to say, Lord bless me, or be with me? There are so many things that we need. So God wants us to walk with Him, and as we do, we bring things to mind, and it brings about miracles. We need the attitude that God is looking for. Something else has happened this week, and I'm not going to name them, so I'm going to avoid it. We've got friends, relatives at the top of the swell down in Colburn. And it's right out in the sticks. And it takes an hour to get there from Richmond. on the Tuesday night, the husband had some chest pain, quite serious chest pain. By 6 o'clock in the morning, his wife rang for an ambulance. The next day ambulance is to Colburn, which is 25-30 miles away. It's Swellvale. Takes a while in the normal course of the day. An ambulance was around that area, and they just finished whatever it was doing at the time. And they had an ambulance at their house in about 20 minutes, rather than an hour and a half, or 2 hours if it had to come from elsewhere. And the crew on the ambulance were the right people for what was going on. They took this guy actually walked into the ambulance, and the ambulance sat there for quite some time. So his wife was getting a little bit concerned about what's going on, why isn't it gone? And they were going to take him to Darlington. But in the ambulance, it so happened that he had a heart attack. And it might have been one of several that he had overnight in that morning. So, and that particular crew, and I don't know a lot about ambulances, so this is my opinion, but it had the right gear on, it had people who had the right experience, the right training, the right knowledge, the right nous, the right approach, the right attitude. So instead of taking this guy to Darlington, he said we're going to take him to Brentford, because that's where he needs to go to. And they were able to communicate back to the hospital by within 5 minutes of going into the hospital. He had a stent fitted, which is amazing. I know we have lots of problems with the NHS is stressed out with time at the moment. But what a blessing, what a miracle. Because that particular couple is an amazing Christian couple, isn't it? And they have the right attitude. They're in the right mind. And God just said, we go through stuff, and things happen to us. That's right. But I'm going to provide for you, and I'm just look out for you that extra bit. And that's amazing. But just having the right attitude. It's incredible how God's provision. When the ambulance was coming, they said to this couple, "Well, you want the aspirin in the house?" We don't have aspirin in the house, and I don't think they've had aspirin for a long time. They have aspirin in the house, which is a miracle in itself. And he provided for them. My point is that he works often despite us. The comfort, the warmth, the feeling of being loved despite. There's a song, Faithful One, that says, "Faithful One, so unchanging, Ages one, you're my rock of peace. Lord of all, I depend on you. I call out to you again and again. I call out to you again and again. You are my rock in times of trouble. You lift me up when I fall down. All through the storm, your love is the only anchor. My hope is in you alone, just from my hand for the sun. Excuse me. So I don't know if it's picked up or not. One of the programs that we watch often ends with somebody saying a phrase, and I picked up a little bit of it from this week. It said, "There will never be enough love, and there can never be too much." And God loves us despite ourselves. Our attitude needs to be right. In Acts 16, Paul and Silas ended up in prison. They were publicly humiliated, in intense pain, but they were praying and singing hymns. The other prisoners were listening. Some of the things that people watch what we're doing, don't they? They know they watch us and they see us. They see our attitudes. They were quite possibly wide-eyed as Paul and Silas, rather than complaining, threatening to retaliate against their accusers or the authorities, were praising God through their prayers and hymn singing. And God miraculously delivered them by an earthquake. And the jailer and his family and possibly some friends around him were saved because of their attitude and what happened and what they did. Their attitude, their perspective was an important ingredient in their testimony. And had they been grumbling, complaining, saying, and I'm not saying that, I don't know you, cursing, nobody would have listened to them. Instead, they were doing what Peter urged his readers to do when he wrote, "In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have suffered grief in all kinds of trials." And Peter's readers have been dispersed because of persecution. Lots of things. Homes, jobs, possessions, families. But we're called to have the right attitude, aren't we? Even when we go through stuff. Even when stuff that we think should be right and should be sorted doesn't work out. And the point is that we're human. And we fail, don't we? Things when things don't work out, sometimes it's easier to get wound up. But there's another song which says that, just one of the lines says, "Oh no, you never let go. It cares for us despite us." And we're all different. When just something else that recently we went to Blackpool, and there was a particular ride and there were four of us who were there. There was a ride that people were watching, and three of them were actually watching this thing swing up and go to great heights, and I can't even watch that because it does something to my head. Because I can't cope. And it's not all about me, but it's good to just share with you that we have different ways of responding to things, don't we? So these other three people were really enjoying watching this ride, and I was looking at the ground thinking, I can't look up there because it'll have a negative effect on me because I can't cope. We're just different. But God still loves us despite our differences, despite ourselves. Paul and Silas set an incredible example of Christianity by staying in prison when they could have just escaped their suffering. And their behaviour, their attitudes, in prison affected other prisoners and the jailer and the jailer's family. Isn't it amazing? Paul didn't plan to go to prison, but he was willing to submit to God. We don't plan to go through some circumstances, some stuff that comes our way. But be willing to submit to God. Be willing to have the right attitude. You need to have the right attitude. His willingness to suffer and yet find joy in the moment is something be good for all of us to apply, wouldn't it, to our lives. Easier said than done, I know. But we just need to have the right attitude and be grateful to our Father God and enjoy the experiences. But and I'm reminded again, he went to the cross to save us, be despite ourselves, despite all of the way we are, despite us. And he loves us, despite the way we are, despite the opportunities we miss, despite the opportunities or the circumstances we create and the stress and all of that we get ourselves into. He loves us so much. We have an amazing God, don't we? The fact that, just thinking of our relatives up in Colburn, the fact that he just showed, look, I care about you so much. The right people are going to come to you. And I need to get my attitude sorted. I need to be not a better person. I need to be myself, because it's wrong if we just try and put on a face that doesn't help. But we need to get closer to God as individuals, as a fellowship, as friends, as family, and to have that right attitude.